Hello again. Chris Lee and Chase Robinson here to preview the Peach Bowl, Texas against Arizona State in the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. Texas coming off a nice home win over Clemson, in which it moved the ball exceptionally well. And then on the other hand, you got Arizona State, which comes off a bye. The Sun Devils, surprise winners of the Big 12, just kind of romped through that conference the second half of the season. Chase, give us the details on the matchup, kickoff time, odds, all those things, please.
Yeah, this will be a noon game on ESPN, so it'll be the first of the day on the slate of New Year's Day games of the college football playoff. And right now, the number 5 seed Texas is a 13.5-point favorite against the number 4 seed Arizona State going into this one.
Yeah, not far off what I would have figured. I think my computer model had handicapped it about that before the game was set. But let's go into the details of the matchup. Let's start with when Texas has got the ball. Of course, Texas has got two outstanding quarterbacks. It ran for about 300 yards against Clemson last week. It's got Gunnar Helm. It's got receivers everywhere. Just the Longhorns extremely talented on this side of the ball. And I think game control is going to be an interesting thing. And I will talk about Arizona State's offense in a minute, but I think getting first downs with Cam Skattebo and keeping this offense off the field may be a key here for the Sun Devils.
Yeah, I mean, this matchup is interesting because I feel like, Arizona State's got the transfer quarterback, and the Texas has the quarterback who's been there, for a while and done that, is established at Texas. And look, Texas ran the ball so well last week against Clemson. They still haven't stopped the run game, I feel like, for Texas. I mean, and that's what the Longhorns have hung their hat on this season, is running the football, and they've been able to do it so well. And Wisner ran the ball well. Blue ran the ball well. They had 3 guys over 100 yards last week in that win over Clemson. And I think Texas just needs to keep doing that. Like, yes, utilize your receivers that you have, and they've got some good ones. But, look, run the ball until they can stop. And I don't know if Arizona can quite stop what they're going to be doing running the football and the amount of depth they have to run the football. So if I'm Steve Sarkisian, I'm putting it to them and making them stop the run. Let Quinn Ewers do his thing, but utilize those running backs, because I feel like when they get loose, they could do some damage. And we saw that against Clemson last week. So I think that's a big factor for Texas, is get that ground game established.
Before we flip side of the matchups, you can put your money down on either team over with our friends at BetOnline. Tell folks a bit about that, please, Chase.
Yeah, BetOnline brings you all of our content here on Southeastern 16, and they continue to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL to UFC. Head to BetOnline today, and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here.
All right, Chase, let's talk about Arizona State's offense. Leavitt was so good for them this year. This was a big surprise team. And I watched them play Mississippi State earlier in the year. And Cam Skattebo stood out that game. I think he ran for about 250 yards. If you're watching this, you've probably seen him. If you haven't watched it, he's just a battering ram. I wouldn't call him like Jerome Bettis because he's not as big, but he's probably a little faster. But he just, if you're in his way, you can get run over. He's going to be the key to what they do. Texas's defense, though, just as talented as I saw all year across all levels of the ball, from Anthony Hill at linebacker. They had award winners in their secondary. They've got multiple NFL players in the trenches, just deep. I think that Texas has got maybe the firepower to take away what Arizona State does, but it might not have it either. I mean, I think Skattebo is going to run for some against anybody, but I think this is the key side of the matchup. If Arizona State's going to pull an upset, it's got to involve Cam Skattebo having a big day. And again, this defense just exceptionally tough to do that against.
Yeah, and look, I think Sam Leavitt is a good quarterback. He's thrown for 24 touchdowns, 304 or excuse me, 192 completions out of 304 attempts. So he's got good numbers. I feel like he's a good decision maker. But yeah, I feel like it's going to come down to Texas having to stop Skattebo, and that's going to be their big test. He's got over 1,500 yards, 19 touchdowns this season. So that the offense revolves around him. But Texas is good when there's at zoning in on guys and stopping them. You know, Georgia had a lot of weapons that they couldn't stop. I feel like Arizona State though has less for Texas to zone in on, so they are going to have a good game plan. I feel like to go against Skattebo. So I think Texas defensively, and we've talked about it all season, Chris. Like these guys are really good defensively, and obviously they've had their moments. Georgia was able to beat them a couple of times, but I feel like Texas though is playing really good football. I thought they did exceptional against Clemson. Again, they gave up some plays. Clemson was able to score, but they were able to lock it down when they needed to. So I like Texas defensively, and especially in this matchup with Arizona State.
All right, let's get into picks and why, and I'll go to you first.
I'm going to take Texas. I think Texas can win this one big. I feel like Texas is just playing really good football right now. And I think that game against Clemson, I think it was kind of good that Texas had an opportunity to play because they were able to get some confidence after that SEC championship game against Clemson last week. They were able to get a good win. They ran the ball really well. They got some confidence, and they got some momentum. So I feel like they're in a really good place going into this game against Arizona State. And again, the Sun Devils are a team that not many people thought would be in this position. So they don't have a lot to lose. But I feel like Texas is just a better team. I feel like they're so good defensively. They run the ball well. I've picked Texas from the beginning of the season to be probably a Final Four team, and I think Texas gets the win. I like the Longhorns. I love their roster, and I feel like they're playing their best football right now.
Yeah, tons of respect for what Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State did. I've watched them play a few times this year. That Iowa State game was a demolition of a very respectable Iowa State team. And I feel like when you look at the power rankings, which a lot of times is what I use as the basis of predictions, I feel like this is a team that's probably, maybe a field goal better than it's getting credit for being. This team really came on strong in the last 2/3 of the season. And, again, with some moving parts there, sometimes that happens. And I think picked last in the Big 12 preseason, if I remember correctly. That said, I think Texas might be the most well-rounded and talented team in the country. Ohio State could have an argument there after watching what the Buckeyes did. Notre Dame might have an argument there. Maybe even Penn State, who knows. But I feel like Texas played pretty well for the most part against Clemson. I still feel like there's a level of play there maybe we haven't seen yet. I think right now, Chase, if I had to make picks, I might take Texas to win the whole thing from here on out. I had Georgia before this started, but with the quarterback injury, I'm pretty skeptical of that now. I think Texas wins this one. I don't know that it's going to be a blowout because I have a lot of respect for Arizona State, and Texas just never put teams away consistently. But I think Texas will win, and I'm not sure that the Longhorns winning is done with this one. Whatever happens, we'll be here to talk about it afterwards. We usually do a game day live after the game, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and enable your notifications so you see that. We cover baseball, football, basketball year-round here at Southeastern 16. For Chase Robinson, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching Southeastern 16, presented by BetOnline.